Why did you choose your character's name?
I chose the name of Lavender because I just feel like I've always really loved lavender, the scent of it and its elusiveness. It's also extremely resilient.
Hando comes from a space pirate named Hando in Star Wars The Clone Wars, so I would say check it out.
It is a reference in the Bat family comics. In an alternate universe, Mary was the daughter of Nightwing and Starfire, and I thought it was a nice name.
I actually didn't choose her name. I actually didn't choose the character. When I first joined the Wildcards group, I asked Kyle, our DM, if I could make my own character or if there was one character from his that I could borrow, and he said you can do whatever you want. So I looked at the list of characters he gave me and I saw Alana and I thought, oh, she's really awesome, I like her, let's give her a try. So Brawly, my nickname, came because obviously my last name is Brawlwin, and that's what everyone started calling me, and it just stuck.
Well, I remember at the time, because we started playing in October of 2017, and recently Gord Downey, the lead singer of the Tragically Hip, had died, and John Dunsworth, the actor who played Mr. Leahy from Trailer Park Boys, had also recently died. So I named the character Gord Dunsworth in tribute to both of them.
So Valentine's real name is Valentine Wilde, but before our D&D game ever began, he wanted to set out on his own. So he dropped the Wilde name, didn't want to use his family name, didn't want to be known by that, and came up with a bunch of other names he would add to his name to seem very important. Those names are Valentine, Amadeus, Maximilian, Samson, Francis, Wilde. Sometimes when I say them in-game, I'll screw up the order of how I say them, and part of that is just my mistake, but also I liked the idea that that's kind of an homage to how William Shakespeare supposedly never signed his name the same way when he was doing his signature. If Valentine could steal from the greatest bard in the world, he definitely would.
When has your character been most afraid?
She was most afraid when we were in the Shadowfell. Not only because she was actually stricken with fear, like I actually failed a save and became fear-stricken, but because we were in this place where it was so new, didn't know where we were, and everything was scary, and we were stuck fighting Val's dad.
Probably later in the game, he makes a deal with a certain character, and it's pretty frightening.
Back when we were in the Abyss hunting the Blackstaff before the Revenant Vow could get it, they surprised us by taking a bunch of friends from Arendelle hostage, people who Mary's close with, and it was a huge surprise, and Kyle really got one over on us.
Lavender is from this place called Estebatol. That's her accent also, by the way. And basically it is like the island that you send the prisoners, the island where the scum of the earth lives, but she lives there with her mother. So growing up, she was always scared anytime she lost sight of her mother. They have a very, very strong connection. And the moment that she was told that she needed to leave the island now from the person that she loves the most, she'd never been more scared to forge out on her own than ever before.
Most afraid would probably be when we were in the Abyss. Just before our game starts on stream on YouTube, we were in the Abyss for, in the real world, like 6 months. Awful. We were trying to stop this evil Lich King guy named Carval. He had a terrible evil relic called the Black Staff, and we had to go through this terrifying dungeon, and it sucked.
Hando kicks doors down. He's not afraid.
What would be a perfect day for your character?
Hitting a bar with Hando and getting drunk. Hitting his pipe and pipe weed and trying to get laid.
Perfect day for my character. Slaying a few people, taking their stuff, getting wildly drunk, and then finishing it off with some ladies.
Perfect day for Valentine would be reading outside. All the wild cards are there, happy and healthy, and Valentine could just sit with Fern, his dire fox, and read outside, hearing his friends playing around him.
She doesn't get a lot of downtime, or doesn't give herself a lot of downtime. So she doesn't really know. She'd probably just end up training and keeping herself busy.
A perfect day for Lavender includes her best friend Brawley. She loves her so much. She's never had a sister, so she really connects with her. She would also be drawing and likely playing tricks, specifically on Valentine and probably on Hando.
Probably sitting in a pub somewhere with a good pint of mead with all of her friends, the Wildcards, and just enjoying, maybe watch a couple fights.
What has been your favorite moment of the campaign thus far?
Favorite moment in the campaign so far, individually and as a group, would probably be we had a Valentine backstory arc very early on in our game before the stream, where we went to Verdansia, Valentine's hometown, met his family, but we learned that there was this sinister plot happening with kidnappings, and eventually Valentine's half-sister Lily got kidnapped and taken to the Shadowfell, and we all discovered that Valentine wasn't actually a half-elf, he was a half-hag. And through their adventures in the Shadowfell to get Lily, Valentine's sister's soul back, his father was there, and his father had orchestrated the whole thing because he wanted him to join up with him so they could be evil hags together.
From a player perspective, the Carval fight was really fun. Just because it was so scary and we were all screwed. But it was a lot of fun playing.
There was a recent encounter where I feel like Gord finally got to use a lot of his recent abilities and was really most helpful, so I guess you'd have to wait and see about how that unfolds. But that was a highlight for me.
Favorite moment in the campaign has definitely been getting Whisper. That weapon has just saved me so many times, and it's been incredible.
Lavender is a changeling, so when she really gets to flex those muscles, it's amazing for her. There's one very specific scene that I hope you guys check out where she gets to flex her changeling abilities and become. She just soaks up that moment in the spotlight.
As a group, the conclusion of the whole Shadowfell Valentine father story arc was just a lot of fun, and it was a really, really close fight that we just barely won. Plus, I got the last kill, so that's always fun.
What has been your saddest D&D moment?
Just before the stream began, we lost Neavir, our cleric.
Oh, when Neavir died. That was awful. That genuinely was traumatic.
I would say Neavir dying, and that was sad, but it was probably more Neavir refusing to come back.
Though she fell in battle, we tried to bring her back through a Raise Dead spell that I cast, and she actually told us that she didn't want to come back. Even though the spell worked, she had other things that she needed to do to be a follower of Pelor.
When Neavir was like, I'm not coming back, and she was gone, that was absolutely traumatic.
That shocked the hell out of us and was a lot to deal with.
I used to have a wooden staff that also changed into a snake named Gerard, and he died in battle, and that was my saddest moment.
Saddest moment in D&D was losing the love of my life. Well, maybe, Hando has had a lot of loves. Neavir.
There's one very specific moment where one character, and that just absolutely sinks her. It makes her realize how much she cares about the Wildcards.
Did you cry?
Yes, both in-game and real life. I missed her so much.
What was the inspiration for your character, and what were you hoping to explore?
My inspirations, they've been many. A couple from Star Wars Clone Wars, Cad Bane and Hando the Space Pirate, Captain Jack Sparrow, Arya from Game of Thrones, a couple of Harrison Ford roles in Indiana Jones and Han Solo, and I've hoped that I would take that character and have a lot of adventures, sail the high seas, take ships, visit new lands. That was always the goal.
Valentine actually existed for one game outside of this entire campaign, where for my birthday several years ago, I asked my DM who I played with in high school if he would run a one-shot for my birthday with a bunch of friends. So I'd already played Wizard, Ranger, Monk, a bunch of classes before, but never actually played Bard. So I created this egotistical Bard character who, instead of using music, would use words to cast magic. And I just fell in love with playing Valentine. It was his name right from the start, and I couldn't have it be just one game with him.
With Kyle, I kind of ended up developing her story more. So she actually ended up growing up, before she joined the Champions Guild, she ended up in an orphanage with two of her companions, Cal and Gaz. One is dead and the other one disappeared. but was in an orphanage in Hammerstock. So she didn't have an origin, she didn't have a family. So that idea of hopefully finding her family one day, if she had any family. But it was kind of cool because she ended up getting a family in the Wildcards. So she did get what she wanted.
I think my original inspiration was kind of Gandalf and Radagast combined from Lord of the Rings, but I think as we played further, I was a huge fan of There Will Be Blood and the main character Daniel Plainsview. So he's probably the later inspiration, but I was also trying to just play with the idea of people's morals and morality and like what's the choices between right and wrong.
At the beginning, I just wanted to be Batman. It sounded great.
Something that I was really looking forward to exploring within Lavender was her accent, her playfulness. I wanted her to be something that really mixed up the existing chemistry of the Wildcards without copying any other character. So I really looked at characters within Killing Eve, Villanelle, and I kind of brought out that psychopathic trickery that makes you love her, but also there are moments where you're thinking, oh, right, she truly is a wild card.
You arrive at the local tavern. What do you order?
I get to a tavern, I find out what the ladies are having, I buy them the drinks, I find out what the most expensive bottle is, and then I buy 2 levels below and get drunk off of it.
Valentine's not a big drinker. He would probably order a water and a coffee. A lot of these bars we go to, they don't have coffee just readily on hand. So if he was forced to drink something, he would probably choose like a elegant elven wine.
She would order probably just the cheapest ale, but wouldn't drink it, just to kind of fit into the crowd.
Pint of mead and a water. Lately it's been just a water, honestly, because our adventures have been so intense that it's just like water.
Gord wouldn't order anything. He would just sit in the corner silently and take out his pipe and smoke some pipe weed.
She would be someone to be like, what do you usually drink around here? And she would want to get what is local to the town, because in her little village at Estevatol on the island, she has not really experienced many things in the world, and she just wants to soak up very much natural culture wherever she can find it.
What was your character's childhood like?
Mysterious and mysterious.
Short.
Valentine had a well-off childhood, but he never really felt like he fit in. Valentine and his mom were on their own from the beginning, but then Valentine's mom married into the Wilde family, this very rich family in this coastal city called Verdancia. Valentine's mom married a guy named Francis. Valentine kind of stole his name because he wanted to use it to kind of spite his stepfather. Never really felt like he fit in, felt like he was baggage that Francis had to drag around with him in order to marry Valentine's mom.
Not great. Like I said, she had Gaz and Cal with her companions, where we grew up together and eventually joined the Champions Guild, but was in an orphanage, had no mom, had no dad, had no one. She really had to learn to take care of herself and didn't really trust anyone.
You would think that Lavender's childhood was really, really rough, but she loved her childhood. Besides the fact that she never got off this island and she was dealing with completely unpredictable situations at every turn, it kept her busy, it sharpened her stealth, it sharpened her way to persuade people and just be a little bit sneaky, and she just loved growing up with her mother in Estevatol. She doesn't know much about her father, he was kind of out of the picture, but maybe that's all a part of Lavender and her whole arc within the series.
Hando's childhood, didn't like his parents, didn't like his family, didn't like being around Tritons, and he just couldn't wait to get away, which he did.
What's something that your character believed or thought at the beginning of the game that has since changed?
Probably going into that, don't really trust anyone, you're all alone, in for yourself. Yeah, just kind of that changed when she met the Wildcards and grew an instant family and people that she actually cared about other than Gaz and Cal. Oh, and Keith! My sweet boy Keith, I forgot about him. I have a goat named Keith. He's beautiful. He's a sweet baby boy. He's a giant goat. He's my mount. Love him.
At the beginning of the game, Hando was very much anti-magic. He did not believe he needed it, and he was suspicious of people that used it. And of course, he found that it can be really helpful, especially to steal things. So he is very much a practitioner of magic.
Valentine's whole arc, his whole plot has revolved around family. And is family something you're born into? Is family your last name? Is family who your parents are? Is family what your blood holds inside? What Valentine has learned through his adventures with the Wildcards is his definition of family is the people you surround yourself with most, the people you care about, the people you protect, and the people you love the most. And that to him is his family. That's what he's learned.
I think his belief in thinking people will do what's right is changed, and his own kind of moral compass has definitely shifted.
She used to think that everyone was either going to leave you, die on you, or just wanted something from you. But since being with the Wildcards and going and meeting a whole bunch of different people, everything's a little more gray than that. And some people do legitimately just want the best for others.
Growing up around these really scummy kind of people, she always thought that she just would never be able to fit in. And the moment that she realized that she could fit in somewhere was a huge changing moment for her in her own character.
Who's your favorite NPC?
Favorite NPC has to be Fern, Valentine's dire fox, a gift from the Summer Queen, his patron. Also loves Ted. Ted is a baby owl bear that they adopted. Side note, adopting baby mystical animals, though in theory sounds awesome, is a terrible idea when you're going on adventures and battling demons and hellish monsters. So it's been very, very stressful, but I would never, ever take back the choice to adopt Ted.
My goat, my sweet boy, I love him. The other person I love, though, that we met was, I forget what town it was in, but there was this turtle man. He was so adorable. And Teddy. Teddy's our little baby owl bear. I love him so much. So Teddy also.
Used to be Gerard, but not anymore.
Valentine's sister Daisy was really cool, and there's just something about her I liked immediately, and I was sad that we didn't get too many sessions with her before we had to leave that arc way back when.
There ends up being this one character, and very much out of the social norms of what we maybe think of when we have a typical relationship, youngest age to oldest age, if you're catching my drift. And she really starts to flex her flirtation bone, and it kind of helps them out in the end. But, I mean, it didn't last as long as Lavender probably wanted it to.
My favorite NPC has been Raymond Borales because I hate his guts and never trusted him from day one, and it turns out I was right.
Who were you closest to before meeting the rest of the party?
Hando and I go way back.
Before meeting the party, Gord and I were best buds. We sailed the seas. We conquered lands. We had a lot of ladies together. It was perfect.
Valentine was probably closest to his mom and Daisy, his stepsister. That's who he felt closest to most.
Keith, my beautiful goat boy, my son.
I think it goes without saying that Lavender was the closest with her mother, but on the road when she was completely on her own, she had no one, and so sometimes you'll find within our series, you'll hear her talking to herself, because if there's one thing that she's learned that maybe we could all learn in this life is sometimes we have to be our own best friend, and she's definitely done that for herself.
Well before meeting the rest of the party, years and years before, she would have been closest to her mentor Orion before he died, and then a bunch of other shit went down. After that, kept her distance from most people.
Turn to a random page of your notebook and read the first sentence you see.
All right, so I got two notebooks. This is from currently our game, and then this is pretty much pre-stream, so I'm gonna go into this one so there'd be no spoilers. And then let's just turn to a random page.
Oh my god, okay. Hondo tells Jamichael to take the vial from Val and drop it at the mines. Oh, that was fun.
Lavender loves to write notes, and so does Amanda in real life, so I am turning to a random page my notebook. There's a little diagram that says outer city. Let me get that in focus for you guys. Outer city, inner city. And it said, down dark tunnel, note footprints, signs of blood drops, running water. Oh, and then this one. This says, tunnel time, baby.
Ooh, this is a great one. It's called New Kid on the Block. November 3rd, 2018. It says, Alana Brawlwin, Goat, Keith. It says $5,000. That sounds great.
At the top of every page, I've written how much money I have because Hando cares mostly about how much money he has.
And then later on down here, a couple NPC names. It says, Gord finds mysterious ruby with black line inside. Gord is always finding very sinister, spooky stuff.
The note I have like on my main page was always just said, trust no one. So I feel like that's the best motto for Gord. I just looked at that and that kind of guides the character.
But this New Kid on the Block, this was Allie's first game with us. She wasn't part of the founding four of the Wildcards, that being Gord, Hando, Mary, and Val. But yeah, that was when she first joined us and we never looked back.
This one's very short. It just says Valentine fucked up.
Who of the Wildcards would you trust with your life?
Oh gosh.
Trust with my life, Mary. I would trust her the most.
My best friend, Valentine.
It's honestly a toss-up between like Val and Mary.
Valentine, because he can bring you back even if he lets you die.
And Lav. Oh no.
Brawly.
Definitely trust my life to Brawley. Doesn't have a bad bone in her body.
Who's the most mischievous?
We have a lot of mischief in this group. Hando for sure. He's just always up to random stuff.
Hondo.
Hondo.
Hando.
Hondo, obviously.
Probably me, the most mischievous. I steal stuff all the time.
You know what though? Lavender is a dark horse. She has brought such mischief and trickery to our party that I think I would actually say her. She definitely is the most mischievous.
Who in the Wildcards is most likely to betray the party?
Hando.
Hondo.
Hondo. Gord would never do such a thing.
Gord's probably most likely to betray the party. I mean, the Orcus thing.
Most likely to betray the party. Hondo does it on the regular. He's always betraying the party, but that's just too easy of a choice. I would say I am terrified for the day that Gord's secret pact with Orcus, the Demon Lord, comes to fruition, comes to the reality of the Wildcards, and that his god makes him choose between the party and being a follower of him. That's just terrifying. But Valentine doesn't know any of that. Valentine just thinks Gord gets his power from something he doesn't understand, but that Gord's his best friend and he would never betray the party, right?
Gord, because he's into some sketchy shit.
Need a wingman for a date. Who do you choose?
Wingman for a date? Just me. I would just look at myself in something shiny, feel very, very confident, and then walk up to whoever I need to.
If I need a wingman, which I never really do, but if I do, it's Gord.
I mean, at this point, I don't think I have a choice anymore. It's just always Hondo.
Hondo.
Mary.
Lavender. She's really good at getting people to open up.
What's your role in the party?
I think she's still trying to figure that out.
I help protect the party, either from external forces or sometimes just from themselves.
I'm the tank, basically, right? So if they need someone to go in and beat the guys up, I will go in and beat the guys up.
I'm the leader of the party. I get stuff done. I steal stuff for us and get us money when we need it, and I get us out of trouble.
I think she wants to be the leader.
I guess just magical support?
Oh, look, I have a hammer. It's supposed to be like my real one. Yeah, so I have a hammer. I go in and I beat everybody up.
You get in a street fight. Who do you want at your back?
Street fight? Probably Mary. She grew up on the streets. She's tough as hell. Valentine would just hide and cheer her on from the shadows.
Gord. Oh? Mary!
I would say Hondo, but he'd probably join the other side, so probably Alana.
Mary.
We're in a street fight. I trust Gord. He plays dirty all the time, but he gets stuff done.
Probably Hondo again.
You get arrested. Who do you ask for?
Valentine.
Probably either Mary or Val again.
If I'm getting arrested, I probably want Gord to break me out, but Mary seems like a very diplomatic person, so either or works, but probably Gord.
Well, I'm assuming I probably would be arrested with Hando again, so probably ask for Valentine's help.
You would think you would ask for the rogue, the thief who could bail you out of jail, but we have the worst rogue thief in existence, Hando the Blue. As well, he would likely be in jail way before you, so he's a complete write-off. Mary is not great at talking to people. It wouldn't work. Lavender is sometimes good at talking to people, but then sometimes her magic just goes off by accident, so that's stress. I would choose Brawly. Brawly's so sincere. She's very charming, and if it didn't go well, she could either rip the iron bars off your jail cell or just punch her way out of there.
Valentine, you can talk to you about anything.
What's your favorite part about playing D&D?
Favorite part about D&D is the collaborative storytelling element. I love getting together with my best friends every week almost and getting to escape into a fantastical world to tell these stories. It's very strange times we're living through right now. The pandemic is still all around us, but to be able to slip into another world with some of your closest friends where you have the power to change it for the better, for the good, and to defeat evil forces has been such a fulfilling blessing as we move through these unprecedented times.
I like the escapism of it. It's just something to look forward to every week where you get to be creative and you can just ignore the regular world and have fun with friends with stakes that you know you can probably come up against.
Favorite part about D&D, getting together with friends virtually in a time when we can't get together. I have actually never had the opportunity as Amanda in real life to get together with these hooligans in person around a table. So this has been my first experience with D&D, which has been so cool.
Just laughing with my friends, mainly.
Obviously the people, I love them so much. It's been so much fun playing with them, but also going to another world with them. It's been so great, especially when reality, obviously, right now is a little bit challenging, shall we say, for everyone. So it's been really good just kind of going to another world with everyone and getting to be someone else and getting to see their characters develop and just all of us being a team together and a family. It's so much fun. It's so awesome. I love it.
Thanks for watching. What questions would you want to ask the Wildcards? Let us know in the comments down below. Tune in Tuesday for our next episode, and as always, keep exploring.